Good morning. I'm sitting here with Leo Lowy, and Leo is the Director of Printer Software here at Zebra. I want to sit down with you, Leo, just because of the fact that I'm finding there's a lot of partners who have heard the term LinkOS over the past few years, but haven't had as much exposure to it, partially because the printers that they primarily focused on weren't printers that were LinkOS enabled.
Right.
They were maybe the older 105 SLs, 105 SL Plus, one of some of the XIs and so forth. So as a partner who's kind of coming into this, what can you say about LinkOS maybe to get them familiar at a high level, what it is, and ultimately how to position or share that with an end user customer?
Yeah, how do you talk to a customer about it? Why did we do it in the first place? What's the value of it? And that's a question I get a lot.
Okay.
And the answer is really you have to go back to about 2008. And in 2008, we started to look at where we were going with the printers. And for years we'd made a very, very durable printer. Right? Industrial, could take a lot of abuse, could be in a factory, could be out in the field.
That's the reputation, yep.
Very reliable. And that was the brand, right? We couldn't change it. You don't want to change that. People love that about the brand. But the challenge was people were starting to expect more out of all the devices within their environment. So if they had a laptop, they expected it to do more than it did before. A phone, they expected it to do more than it did before. And that's really what hit us with printers is if we were to amp up the printers and give them more power and more capability, they could mean more. And it tied off to how people use the printers. So you think about it today, when somebody gets something like a ZT500 series printer or a ZT600 printer, right? That's not going to last for 5 years. That's going to be out there for a really long period of time.
Right.
So the IT context that printer drops into today is going to change dramatically in time to when they retire the printer. So the printers had to be more flexible across that time period. They had to do more, they had to contribute more. And that's really where LinkOS, the idea of it came from. We said, look, we're going to take the printers and say, we've got a printer that has all the capabilities of a printer, but we're going to give it a lot of ceiling, a lot more capability than it had before, so it means more and it contributes more inside of an application. So to make that real, to make that actually mean something, when you look at sort of the legacy printers that people knew, we had firmware.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fit-for-purpose firmware. It knew how to be a printer. It had about 166 megahertz processor, and it had a couple of mega RAM in it. And it was great at being a printer. With the LinkOS printers, we've moved to a 400 or higher megahertz processor, lots more memory, a true POSIX operating system in the printer, so it's just able to do a lot more and contribute a lot more than it had before. Here's a proof point of that.
Okay, I was going to say, so that extra memory, the extra power
What do we
is
do
really
with
to help it. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
what do we do with it?
Okay.
Exactly. So one of the things we did is we said, look, we've got this high-powered processor, we've got all this memory, now we can run apps on the printer. And the primary app that we spent a lot of time on has been emulations. We call them virtual devices, but really are there emulations of various competitive command languages that are out there. And the normal thing to do in the past has been, hey, let's go emulate all of the various competitive languages that are out there. We took that a step further with this LinkOS operating system, and now we're able to actually print PDFs using one of those virtual devices from these printers. Something we could never have done on the old printers. Just we didn't have the horsepower to do it on the older printers.
I've heard partners asking about or the need to print a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that matter?
Why would you use a PDF in the first place? Why not just send good old-fashioned ZPL to a printer? It's a great question. So the answer is, what does a PDF do for you? The moment you commission a PDF and you make it, you've got a permanent record of that print job. So if you send that to the printer and the printer renders it and prints out that PDF, you've also got a perfect record of what that label looked like in the PDF that you can store and archive and pull up later on.
It's not what I was thinking you were going to say, but that's
It's
something I didn't consider.
Yeah, it's something that you never would have really been able to do to that same degree with ZPL. With ZPL, which is a great command language, we still own it. I own ZPL for Zebra. You can reprint that label, but you don't always want to reprint the label. Sometimes you just want to look at it and say what was on that label when we printed it, and that's where PDF comes in. It's something that's unique with the LinkOS printers that you're able to actually look back at that label without printing it all over again.
Okay, so LinkOS, I'm not at the point where we're ready to summarize yet, but so LinkOS, number one, gives you a way to allow that printer to grow with the end user customer. They buy it today and their needs may change down the road, so we can create extra modules, extra capabilities, extra apps, to use your term apps, create extra apps that can be used and downloaded to that printer to be able to do something different down the road than it was originally purchased for.
Here's how we look at it.
Okay.
LinkOS is the operating system that runs in the printer.
Okay.
On top of that, we build a very powerful software development kit. Now that software development kit gives us tools for writing apps in the printer. It gives us tools for writing apps in Android, in iOS, in Java-based systems, in Windows PC systems. Those tools are very tied intimately to the capabilities of the printer. And on top of that SDK, we get apps to be written. Now, sometimes we write the apps. So on the screen behind us, we've got Profile Manager Enterprise. That's an app that we wrote. But sometimes what we're doing is going out to the ISV community and saying, hey, we've got a great idea for an app. Are you interested in taking this one on and writing it yourself? So that's the technology stack. Operating system, software development tools, and then the apps that we or somebody in the ISV community writes. And what it means is we're building this ecosystem around these printers that's much more powerful than a device that just prints.
Whether it's an app that's created now, like the printing to PDF, or virtual devices, which is emulation, as you said.
Yep.
Those are different apps that exist within the LinkOS environment.
Right.
That a partner end user
that are made possible by LinkOS.
Correct. Okay, very good. So made possible by LinkOS. So I'm just trying to think if we boil it down. So if a partner is not familiar with LinkOS at this point, just heard the term.
Yep.
And they need to know why that matters to the customer.
What's in it for me? Is really the question.
Yeah.
What's in it for me? Exactly. So we say, look at these following things. Look at where the world is going. We make a device that prints. What we're really trying to do is make a device that's going to be IoT and cloud friendly, a device that's going to be very, very manageable, a device that's going to be deeply manageable in the enterprise, a device that is enterprise ready, that has to do with security and the ability for it to hook into ERP systems, and then finally a device that is very, very flexible. I'll give a couple of good proof points for that. So with the LinkOS printers, I've got a QLN320 right here.
Okay.
You can take over the front panel and put your own menu on that front panel.
Yes, you mentioned that yesterday.
Right, so we were looking at that yesterday. So one of the great apps that we've seen some of our partners do is take one of the barcode scanners, pair it to the printer, right? Have it delivering data to the printer, have the printer reacting to that data and showing content on the screen, instructing the user what to do next, but then also forwarding that data up to a server to do a lookup on the data and printing a label if a label is warranted to be printed, or not printing a label if it's needed, but then also driving feedback down to the user. That's very different than how we used to look at a printer. We would just look at a printer in the past and go, well, I hope a label comes out of this thing, right? And now we're looking at the printer and saying, no, you're a meaningful portion of the overall solution, right? You're not just something that's printing, you're bringing more to the party when it comes to building a solution.
So taking that one step further, kind of what you just said, the printer is more meaningful now. So not just selling based on you need a certain number of inches per second, or you need to be able to do a certain size label or a certain number of labels for rolls. Some of that that situational kind of stuff. I guess challenging maybe the partners to have some deeper level discussions with regards to extra capabilities and how that would benefit the customer.
And this is where we tie off to the EAI vision, right?
Okay.
Enterprise Asset Intelligence. Look at what role the printer is playing inside the application and what bigger role it could be playing, right? I'll give it another example. We've got other customers who are looking at, as they are printing in real time, pulling data about the print jobs off of the printer and then feeding that up to their system, to their systems to predetermine how they're going to route boxes at the moment they're printing them. This is a traditional challenge in the packaging environment, right? Where you've got a customer who's far flung out in the field, they're printing labels, you're going to pick up those boxes and you're going to get that data later in the day. Well, what if you could get that data instantaneously in your routing system and know about it right away and start working on your logistics immediately? Again, something that is a great idea that we really couldn't have done with the older printers, but with the LinkOS printers, because we can write an app and run an app on here, now we can do that. So it's really about flexibility, about manageability, about partaking in these IoT systems and enterprise asset intelligence platform that Zebra's building, and just as importantly, being very, very manageable.
And this video is getting a little bit long, so we'll wrap it up right here and we can do another one.
Great.
A partner generally who's selling Zebra printers, Zebra equipment, printers or mobile computers or whatever it might be, they have choices.
Yep.
Their end users have choices.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to, and you didn't know I was going to ask you this, so I can always edit it out. When it comes to differentiating the Zebra philosophy, the Zebra, thought behind LinkOS and the direction we're going with the printers and so forth, how do we differ from our competition?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when we look at our competition, here's what we're seeing. we are investing across a huge range of printers. So when you look at the LinkOS line, we've got everything from the IMZ line or ZQ300 line all the way up to the ZT600 line, which is behind us here, right? That's a huge range of printers that we are investing in a common set of capabilities across all of those printers. So all the things we've been talking about with LinkOS, you can do with all of those printers. We don't see the same kind of investment in our competitors' lines. We don't see them making the same investment consistently across a family of printers. We don't see them making the same investment consistently across the issues that we're attacking, which are secure cloud connectivity, secure server connectivity, manageability at a deep level, being very, very flexible and being able to say to customers, look, you're going to make your choice about the host system at some point in the process, but we're not going to force you into this host system or that host system. Our development tools are going to let you think about, hey, do I want to do this on a Java-based system like Linux, or do I want to do this on a Java-based system like Windows, or do I want to do this on .NET on Windows, right? Giving you that flexibility and that choice. So that's really our message, is we believe that we're making the deepest investment across the widest range of printers to deliver those key values around security, visibility, manageability, IoT connectivity, and we just don't see anybody doing it at the same level of intensity that we're doing it. Now the great news is, and the reason that I love doing this video now rather than when we started the LinkOS initiative, is it's been almost 4 years, and we've kept the pace up.
And that's a good point, yeah.
And I've watched
the proof is in the
competitors.
pudding. You can see it. It's not just some newfangled messaging we're using now,
It's
right?
not the thing we did in 2013 and then got distracted, shiny object and went away, right?
Yeah.
We stuck with it and have stuck with it, and I can definitely share that as I look at the roadmap for 2018 and beyond, the investment just continues so that we can enable the reseller community to add value on top of just print.
All right, so that's perfect. So basically, just tying up that last point you made, each printer is not a disparate silo within some sort of product portfolio lineup.
Yep.
There's thought into tying it all together, and then even actually, by extension or extending it out one more step, that same thought, I think, is what partners are seeing now, tying the mobile computing to the printing side versus, I know some of our competitors just have other acquisitions and they are producing one product line here, one product line there. It's almost like they were pre-acquisition, where in this case, things are being tied together.
I'll give you one of my, I know we want to round this one up because it's getting a little long, but I'll give you one of my favorite proof points of that. So I've got a Zebra printer.
Yep.
I've got a Zebra mobile computer. I want them to talk to each other. I need them to talk to each other, right? I can go ahead and just tap them together, and now they're talking to each other. And we think that that's something really unique that we're seeing other people sort of dabble in but not take to the same level, where that tap event can pair these devices together and automatically launch an application that now I'm managing this device from my Zebra computer.
There you go, there's proof right there.
Brand new experiences, and the great part about that is, the really cool part about that is, remember I talked about OS and SDK and app? If someone wanted to write their own app in the development community, our SDK lets them replicate this kind of experience. It's built into the SDK that if they want to write an app where they want to do auto launching and auto pairing, and then this rich exchange of information where I'm pulling battery data and connectivity data off of this, it's all in the SDK. People can replicate the experience and they write their own app that delivers that kind of experience to the user.
Excellent. Leo, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.